This is the mental perspective. We have real men talking real talk about real life issues from a man's perspective. They don't get no better than that. Welcome. We are here. We're back, man, at the mental perspective. I'm your host, Napoleon. This is my co-host, DP.
What say? What you say?
We got a great show for you today, man. We got a legend in the house. We got a legend in the house, man. We have bass player, singer, musician, preacher, author. I mean, you name it, he's that. It's my dude, Brian Crenshaw.
What's going on,
What's
man?
the deal, man?
Thank y'all so much for having me, man. This is dope, man. I appreciate this.
Absolutely, man. We gotta have you on here, man. I was just on your show, the Man Cave, just the other night.
Yeah.
Man, that was dope, man. That's real dope.
Yeah.
You know, I love probably bring that to the show one day.
Yeah,
man.
definitely.
Just
Yeah,
kinda,
man. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Bring that concept on, man. And just do what you do.
Yeah,
you know
definitely, man.
Share with the people.
Anytime, man.
You know what I mean? Bring up that minister side. Like your daddy.
You know?
You know what I mean? Yeah. So tonight, man, you know, as you know, this show, we're really talking about what we think, man, the perspective of a man, you know, and we talk about whether or not we want them to know what we're thinking about.
Yeah. Yeah, buddy.
Can't give it to them all. Can't give all of it.
Yeah. Not at one time. We got to spoon feed. You know what I mean? And so tonight, man, I really want to dive in and talk about, because, you know, a lot of times in relationships, man, there's a discussion about, you know, Eve obviously is the rib of the man.
Mm-hmm.
Adam was here, and then God made Eve out of the rib, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so most times, you know, we talk about how women was made for the man.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the question.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
The question is, we're about to get in trouble on this one. The question is it a man's job to make a woman's life easier?
Ooh.
Is it a man's job to make a woman's job easier? You know, you hear all the stuff, man, about what men should do and what's our job as a man, as a husband, as a boyfriend. Is it a man's job to make a woman's life easier?
Well, let me preface it with this. Boo, I love you.
I love mine too.
I love you too, honey.
Yeah. However, I think the short of the answer is no. I think society has put a stigma on us as men, and it's made it okay for women to have that requirement of us without having a clear definition of what happiness means. I think if both men and women have a clear definition of what happiness means, a healthy relationship would involve a happy man and a happy woman coming together.
Absolutely.
Everybody subscribes to that happy wife, happy life.
Negative.
Makes sense in theory.
And it rhymes.
It does.
It sounds awesome.
It sounds great. However, you know, when you grow and you mature and you become self-aware, you understand that the concept becomes more so happy house or happy spouse, happy house.
Yes, sir.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
And I think there is a level of contribution that a man has to a woman's happiness. But should a man take sole responsibility for a woman's happiness? No. Because who's to say that her definition won't change?
Facts.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And if her definition is ever evolving, is it safe to say that a man should always evolve to meet that need? Because it's almost like you keep moving the goalposts on me. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You wanted quality time, so I started spending more time to make you happy. Now you want physical touch. Now you want acts of service. Now you want. So now I'm in my head trying to figure out, am I enough man for you? You see what I'm saying? So I honestly think, yeah, you do have a level of contribution, but I don't think you are the sole contributor to making a woman happy.
Or her life being
or
easier.
her life being easier.
Yeah. DP, what's your thoughts, man?
Well, Bro, you brought us some excellent thoughts, man. Evolving.
Mm-hmm.
That's the word I heard you say. And I think about my sons because the role of a man and a woman has evolved.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And it's evolving now. So like you with this gender equality thing, most men they their value is attached to their being able to provide.
Mm-hmm.
And so now, we have a generation of women that don't necessarily need men.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They statistically make more than us.
Mm-hmm.
They statistically have higher paying occupations and careers than us.
Yeah.
So you have a generation of women that don't typically need a man. So how do we engage our sons to respond to this era of equality? Because in essence, you have women that want their grandfathers. They want the men that they saw their grandfathers out in the field, bring it home. Yeah. But essentially, they're not the women that their grandmothers were.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's true.
And honey, I love you. And I'm not talking about you. I'm just
yeah, definitely.
But in general, the role has evolved. And finding more times in our households, we have spouses that are competing or have desires that compete with the needs of the family. So you know what I mean? Like, I think that's something that we should consider also. Like, how do we as men stand up to the moment?
Right, and I feel like that goes back even to what Brian was talking about too, because it's almost like the goalpost has been moved across the board.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As a whole, you know what I mean? So it's like, 1 minute this makes you happy, then the next minute this makes you happy. First of all, here's my thing with the life being easier or even the whole happiness situation. See, so my thought process on happy or happiness, I think it's a choice.
Yeah,
I believe happiness is a choice.
It is.
So you can choose to be happy in what's going on.
Yep.
Because that's how I think. I think like this may not be the ideal situation, but I choose to be happy.
Yes.
And I feel like as men, we are more apt to be like that.
Yes.
We're more apt to be like, this is not ideal, but I'm going to choose to be happy.
Yes.
I'm going to choose not to rock the boat. I'm going to choose not to. That's why you'll find more females to have attitudes than you would have a man to have attitude. Because we're more apt to be like, well, you know what? I'll just be happy with this.
Yes.
Less is more for us.
Yes. Right.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Now, the challenge with that is after a while, we hear so much about them not being happy or them feeling like life is not as easy as it should be. Now we bring out first of all, let's talk about this because I chose to be happy in this situation when really I could have said something. I could have said something in this situation, but I chose to be happy. That was my expectation. For you. My expectation for you was you be happy in this situation. Now, I get it. I'm not saying, first of all, let's be clear on those type of situations. I'm not talking about a situation where men is battering women or men is dogging women or men is disrespecting females. I'm talking about when men are out here like us, we married, we men of God, we saved, we working hard, we trying to do the best we can. So cut the slack. Cut us some slack and be happy.
Right.
And understand, be grateful for where we are. And for what you have. You feel what I'm saying?
Yep, absolutely.
Because the situation can be different.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Now, I know you was gonna say something too.
No.
Okay, my other thought is, so my answer to that question would be, it's really both of our jobs to make each other's life easier.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Absolutely.
It's both
Yes.
of our
Sure.
jobs to be
Yes.
easier. And if we both have that as our goal, then we would both have easy lives.
Absolutely.
But it can't be one person sitting high up here like, well, no, it's your job to make me eat, to
Yeah.
make my life easier.
Yeah.
No, that's not going to work.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I'll be doing this forever.
Mhm.
Because every time I do something, it's like, that's cool, but then you'll get right back up here again.
Yeah.
It's something else.
Uh-huh.
But if we're both striving
Yeah.
Yeah.
to make each other's life easier,
Yeah.
then making your life easier would be no problem because you make my life easier.
Yeah.
Sure.
You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's my thought process.
Yeah.
On it. It's like,
See, then you speaking to that entitlement thing.
See, I was just about to say that.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
Mhm.
And it goes back to what you were just saying about women wanting men like their grandfathers, but not being women like their grandmothers. Like if you think about it, men were never taught to be emotionally aware.
No.
You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
If we were taught to be emotionally aware, we would know our value before any woman would have to place the value on us.
Sure.
Mm.
You see what I'm saying?
Sure.
Mhm.
I used to say all the time, and I penned this in my first book, people will value you based on their need of you.
Oh, that's good.
Mm.
Your value to them is based on your accessibility to them.
Right.
Mhm.
As long as you meet their need, then your stock is high.
Sure.
The moment you no longer meet their need, then your stock is low.
Mhm.
You see what I'm saying? And for so long, men have been valued based on what they could provide.
Yes.
So the moment you can't provide anymore, your value is now low.
Yes.
Mhm.
But for an emotionally intelligent man, they would realize that even though I can't provide here right now, I'm still worth something. You see what I'm saying? So you got a lot of emotionally unintelligent men who come into these relationships and their only claim to fame is I can make my woman happy.
Mhm.
You see what I'm saying? And women see that and they say, well, I know the only time he's happy is when I'm happy. So when they control the temperature of the house.
Mhm.
When they're sad, the man already know.
Mhm.
Dog. When they happy, the house is up.
Yeah.
And I just feel like if men were more emotionally aware, they would be able to have those conversations and not feel less valued.
Mhm.
I'm not happy.
Yes.
It may not have nothing to do with you. I'm just not happy.
Mhm.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And be okay with saying that. Today is not a good day.
Mhm.
And they need to be able to say that without the fear of being demasculated. You see what I'm saying?
Mm.
Where did this myth come from that men can't be emotional?
Yeah. Where does this myth come from that men can't cry?
See,
I tell people all the time, Jesus was emotional.
absolutely.
Jesus was emotional.
Yeah.
The full range of human emotion. he had.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if we're supposed to pattern ourselves after the life of Jesus, why can't men be emotional?
As you was talking, I thought of something,
Okay.
and this might get me in trouble.
Okay.
And I don't want no smoke.
You
Larry.
want
No
some
smoke.
smoke?
No smoke.
Not a lot.
But it would appear to me that we love our women harder than what they love us,
Ooh.
because our worth often is equated in what we bring to the table. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So we aren't loved unconditional.
We're in love with conditions.
Yes,
Yeah.
and the conditions that they fall in love with is the need that is met at the moment.
Yeah.
You give me attention. You do this. You do this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the
But
moment
do you
that
think that's supposed to be the case?
No. In terms of
Men being loved with conditions, women being loved unconditional.
I mean, but how
I don't think so, but I think that that's what happens in a lot of relationships, though.
that's what
So,
happens in society.
We are talking from a man's perspective.
Yes,
So
we
I'm
are.
going to rock the boat for a
Go
second.
ahead. Get
All
it.
right.
Mhm.
We are supposed to love without conditions
Sure.
Mm.
because the Bible tells us as husbands,
To love thy wife.
love your wife like Christ loved
That's
the
fair.
church. It never commands the wife to love the husband in the same way.
You just said submit.
But we have to consider the text
Yeah.
because at that time in scripture,
Uh-huh.
roles wasn't equal.
Gender
Gender roles wasn't equal.
Mm.
So if that scripture was communicated now, would
would there be a social perspective to that scripture if it was portrayed now?
It would have to be.
Yeah.
Because times are different.
Yeah.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Well,
that's interesting. Yeah.
With gender roles, yes.
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
But is that really a thing now?
Well,
I can only say for me, gender roles, like my wife, and I comfortably say this, my wife makes more than I do.
Mm-hmm.
However, I wash every stitch of clothes in the house.
You wash clothes?
I wash clothes. Yeah. I clean. Mm-hmm. She'll cook. Mm-hmm. I'll clean. Mm-hmm. I wash dishes. You see what I'm saying? I'm domesticated in that regard.
Yeah.
You know,
I don't do all that. But
you're making us look bad.
But no, here's the thing.
I'm not saying.
Here's the thing. It's not that it's a requirement. Like it was never, and we've been married 9 years since January made 9 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And it took us a while to figure that out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, I clean, I wash the dishes. Why you can't wash the clothes? Mm-hmm. Then I realized I don't care who wash the clothes, as long as they get done. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And for a long time, just pride told me I had to make more than her.
Yes.
Pride told me if you don't make more than her, she's going to demasculate you.
Oh, okay.
You'll never be respected as the head if you're following her lead.
That's what was passed down. Yeah. My father was that way. Yeah. My father told me, and our talks, he would say, your woman should always have the choice whether or not she wants to stay home or she want to work.
Yeah.
I grew up hearing that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like that is my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do what you want.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even when we go out.
Yeah.
It's time to pay the bill and everybody looking at me.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I grew up with that. The same thing too. You know what I mean? Where it's like, I'm gonna pay the bill. I got a family of 5, 6.
Yeah.
And everybody works. But guess who the bill coming to?
You.
Come to me, and I'm gonna pay it.
And I don't mind it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's how I feel like I show love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm paying. I pay for all the kids' cell phone bills.
Yeah.
I handle the car notes.
Yeah.
Brad, same way. I got all the bills.
All of them.
All of them.
Yeah.
Now, granted, my wife, luckily and thankfully, she's a builder like me. And so that's the key. Getting a wife that's going to build with you.
Yes.
Because I think if I had a wife that didn't think like that, man, we'd be in trouble.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We'd be in serious trouble because I come from that too. I grew up that same way where it's like, husband takes care of everything. Your wife should have the choice whether or not, my wife stayed home. My wife was a stay-home mom with all of our kids.
Mine too.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So she decided after the last one was in school, like public school, she decided she was gonna work and start helping. You know what I mean? And that was like for me, I'm like, dude, we've been together. We dated for 8 years, and we were married. We've been married now for 26 years.
Oh.
So we spent a lot of time.
Man.
Yeah, man. We spent a lot of time talking about what marriage looks like. It was unintentional because we always talked about, when we get married, what are we gonna do? You know what I'm saying? How many kids we got? I wanted 10 kids, but the Lord said no.
I just wanted to practice.
Huh?
With
the practice of it. Yeah, man. I'm saying, I'm gonna be like rabbits all the time.
That's it, boy.
Yeah, but I wanted 10 kids, but we talked about that stuff. You know what I mean? And so it was interesting once we started building a family because those things started to play out now in front of us.
Yeah.
And we're just like that. Remember we talked about this? Remember we talked about just, you staying with the kids? Because, one of the things we talked about was staying home with the kids as they were babies.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then her staying home with the kids while I went out and worked.
Yeah.
And
That's a
God,
discipline, man.
it
It takes
is,
a lot of discipline.
man. I listen. I see her do it. I saw her do it, and that's like a full-time job
Yeah,
Bruh,
on from a woman's perspective.
ain't no
You know what I
punching
mean?
out.
dog. No.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. So we were talking earlier about me being a full-time musician. When my wife, when we had our daughter, obviously I was traveling, and I was traveling so much. I would be gone Thursday, Friday, Saturday, come home Sunday,
Mm.
drop a bag off, be home Monday, Tuesday, leave out Wednesday night, be gone again Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I did that for 3 years. I lived out
Wow.
of 3 bags.
Wow.
Sheesh.
Wow.
I lived out of 3 bags. I would drop one, she would
Mhm.
wash the clothes, I'd pick up another one, go out. I come back home, drop that bag, pick up another one, she'll wash that, and we rotated. I lived out of suitcase for 3 years.
That's
Wow.
crazy.
Now my kids, I have an older daughter who will be 18 on Sunday.
Well, okay.
Happy birthday.
Yeah.
Birthday, little Brian.
Dog, that's
Brianna.
yes, that is crazy.
Is that her
But
name, Brianna?
yeah, her name's Brianna. Yeah. But me and my wife had kids very early.
Mhm.
So my daughter was born in August. My son was born the following January. So they're 17 months apart. Now, mind you, my wife was a first-time mom. Her having to do all of that while I'm out the country, while I'm out the state.
Mhm.
Man, when I tell you, that was like, you need to make me happy now.
Yeah.
Because
Oh,
I'm
you-
at home with these kids.
You owe her.
Exactly. And honestly, to your point, that was the conversation. Almost like you owe me.
Mhm.
You owe me to be happy.
Yeah.
Like I deserve to
Mm.
be happy.
Mhm.
And so for a long time, that's why I'm glad we started talking about this, because for a long time I felt like I did owe her to make her happy.
Mhm.
Cause she didn't have to stay at home and do these things.
Yeah. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Until maybe, like I said, we've been married 9 years. I want to say 3 years ago, we both had a sit down, come to Jesus meeting. Like, yo, it's impossible for you to make me happy.
Mhm.
It's impossible for me to make you happy, especially if I'm not happy already.
Yeah.
I don't even have a clear definition of what happiness means.
Yeah. Yeah.
You see
That's
what I'm
good,
saying?
man. Yeah.
So, like, to your point, I think everybody needs to have an understanding of what happiness means.
Mhm.
So, whether you show up to the plate or not, I'm still happy. Because if I'm waking up every day expecting you to bat 1,000 and make me happy,
Mhm.
I'm setting myself up for disappointment. Because what happens if you have a day?
Right.
If I'm putting all my eggs in your basket to make me happy, then I'm setting myself up for disappointment.
Yeah.
You know?
I think that H word is one of the leading causes to the high divorce rate.
The happy.
Happiness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
In this country.
Yep.
This country is I think we in the divorce rate, we are leading, or at least in the top three.
Yeah.
And especially when you consider countries like India where marriage is still
Yeah.
arranged.
Yes.
They are staying married way longer
Mm-hmm.
than couples here who choose
Yeah.
their spouse.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
It's
And-
insane. My grandparents, God rest both of their souls. Like my grandfather died in 21. My grandmother died last year.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. And I asked her before me and my wife got married. At that time, they had been married 68 years.
Wow.
And that was 9 years ago.
Wow.
My Lord.
My grandfather and my grandmother were the only relationship that they've ever had.
Mm-hmm.
That's beautiful.
They met and married in
Mm.
6 months. And it was the only relationship that they'd ever had.
But think about it. They didn't have anything to compete with. There's no
Yeah.
social media. There's no
Nothing.
cell phones.
Nothing.
Ain't no exes. Hey, you know what I mean?
Only
Facebook.
thing they had to compete with is gossip.
Yeah, but I'm saying Facebook.
but not
Yep.
like the
Facebook
immediate.
gives access.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Absolutely.
I
You
asked
open
my
it up.
grandmother, I said, how do you do it? She was like, You just do it.
Mm-hmm. Just do it.
You just got to do it. You make up in your mind every day that you're gonna do it.
Them simple answers suck sometimes,
Man,
don't they?
she
They
said,
do,
I
man.
came.
They're so powerful to me. So
Man,
much.
so powerful. She said, I came from an era that if something was broke, you learn to live with it. You don't just throw it out and get something new. I said, oh, snap.
Oh, that's a word, bro.
Until the day he closed his eyes,
Mm-hmm.
they were married.
Learning to live with something that's broke.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's tough, but like I said, I think ultimately it's really about any relationship. Everybody understanding that this is a team, it's a partnership.
It is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
It is.
because when you think about teams, and like especially in sports, I know we can talk sports. You know,
Yeah.
when you talk about these sports teams, it's like those guys make each other's job easy. That's the point of the
Yeah.
that's the point of being a team.
Yeah.
Pass the ball.
Yeah.
You know, to the one who's the shooter, who's the best shooter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make sure I get the ball to the hands
Yep.
of the shooter.
Yeah,
Yep,
play
absolutely.
your role.
You know what I mean? If everybody understands their role, I think that's the key thing.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes easier doesn't necessarily mean happy either, though. You know what I mean? And so
that is good.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like
Easier does not mean
easier
happy.
doesn't mean
No.
happy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Easier just means you lighten the load.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so for me, it's about really helping each other lighten the load.
Yeah, definitely.
Because what we talk about, especially as musicians,
Mhm.
you know, if you're a wife of a musician,
I'm sorry.
I'm
Me too.
sorry.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry because we wouldn't be able to do what we do
Yeah.
if they didn't help out. If they didn't do their part in what we have. And granted, there's been challenges because that's a hard thing to do. You know what I mean? You date or marry a musician, it's tough.
God.
You know what I mean? Because we wouldn't be able to do what we do because we have to practice. Because here's the thing that people don't understand: we got to practice.
Yes.
You know what I
Constantly
mean?
learning music.
It's what I call the phantom hours, the hours that nobody sees, that you have to sit, you got to practice, you got to learn stuff. You can learn stuff in different keys. You know what I mean? You got to learn songs in different keys. You may pick up different software that you got to learn to add into what you're doing. Because at this time, this day and age, we got to stay relevant. We got to stay current.
Yep.
So we got to learn Ableton, and there's a new Ableton. We're gonna learn that. Then there's Prime. We gotta learn Prime. Then we gotta learn Logic, and then there's Pro Tools. We gotta learn that stuff. And then there's a new keyboard. Now they got Chronos, the Chronos 3,
right.
which I want to go get.
Right.
Right. You know, they got Chronos 3. Then they got the new Roland V organ,
Man.
which is crazy.
Dog,
Okay?
I want
That's a whole
that. And I
nother-
don't even
that's-
play keys like
you know what I'm
that.
saying? That's
But
crazy. You know what I mean? But you know, there's so much, especially as a musician, or if you have a man, if ladies, if you have a man that's doing anything significant,
yeah.
if he's an artist, entertainer, if he's doing anything significant, there's going to be a learning curve.
Yes.
And a lot of times we make what we do look easy. So a lot of times I know it looks like, well, you can just go ahead and just do it, spend a little bit of time and come on. But what happens is we spend so much time even within the learning curve. Even though we make what we do look easy,
Yeah.
that stuff takes time.
Yep.
And it takes a lot of mental power.
Yeah.
Not just physical power.
Yeah.
Because to learn software, that learning curve comes from up here.
Yes.
And that takes away from that mental power that we need to give you as a female.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so dealing with that, that's a whole challenge in itself.
Man.
So if you have a wife that understands that stuff, and she may not understand it that deep, but she understands that there is something happening outside of this that he has to deal with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's a blessing.
Yeah.
So in turn, because here's the thing, we're doing this. Most of us, I know I am. I'm doing this for them.
Right.
I'm doing this for y'all. I'm trying to make sure that I'm learning this stuff. I'm staying current so I can continue to get that check and get bigger checks.
Yes.
And eventually be able to take that money, invest in some things so that later on we can go ahead and travel.
Yeah.
We can go ahead and then you talking about easier life.
Yeah.
All the work that we did in those former years.
Yeah.
Now pays off in the end.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I heard TDJ say one time, you don't want no man that's home all the time.
Nope. Because if he at home all the time, he ain't making no money.
If I'm home all the time, that means I'm not working. That means I'm not playing anywhere. That means I'm not making a check.
Yep.
Now, unless I have something that I worked on to create passive income.
Yes.
Now, that's a goal. That's what I want to do. I want to be able to sleep and I'm making money.
Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yes. Oh,
You know
yeah.
what I'm
Absolutely.
saying? I want that.
Absolutely.
I got an ebook coming out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so I want that to make money. I want
Yeah.
that type of passive income, no doubt about it. But guess what? Before that's out, I got to be in the shed,
Yeah.
getting it done.
Yeah.
Working hard,
Yeah.
making it happen.
Yep.
So that in later on we can go ahead and we both have an easier life. But for me, like it's like easier is not happy.
It's not.
That's good.
It's not. And
Not always.
those conversations are necessary.
Mm-hmm.
But again, you have men and women who I like to call trauma bond.
Mm-hmm.
Like they come from their separate, their separate areas, and now I need you to fulfill me and I need you to fulfill me, and y'all are codependent of one another.
Surviving together.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And this is something that me and my wife started doing because I didn't have a good perspective of that.
Mm-hmm.
Of what love was. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I always felt like you should treat me how I treat you.
Yeah.
You should love me just like I love
just
you.
like how I love you.
You see what I'm saying?
Different.
But you can love me the same amount that I love you, just not the same way.
Not the same way.
You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And I always used to think, I'm out here, I'm making all this money, and I'm traveling all these places, and I'm practicing all these hours, and because once I'm in it, I'm in it. Like you can cancel Christmas. I'm locked in.
Right.
You know what I mean? And she used to be like, you don't spend no time with me because I'm focused on making money.
Mm-hmm.
But I realized we needed to have a conversation about what we could contribute.
Yeah.
What we should contribute.
Yeah.
All right. I know that me practicing is going to take this amount of time. But what can you do and what can I do that, is going to even the playing field?
Mm-hmm.
What's interesting is me and my wife, after being married 9 years, my wife's a singer. We only just maybe a year or so ago started to have the common interest in music.
That's hilarious.
Nice.
But
that's hilarious because y'all are both musicians.
We're both musicians. And so now.
But as a mom, that's tough.
But here's the thing. And I hope she doesn't mind me saying this. We've had this conversation out. She used to resent me because when she had kids, my career never stopped.
Oh, absolutely.
I kept traveling. I kept gigging. She stopped. She used to sing background for Byron Cage. And she used to sing background for a whole lot of other people.
Nice.
And when she got pregnant, those calls stopped coming because she was like, I got to be a mom. You see what I'm saying? But now we've figured out a way to kind of bridge those interests or whatever. So now, instead of her resenting me for the work that I put in, she'll find herself a space in what I'm doing. So
nice.
now she's like, well, Brian, you're practicing this key or you're working on this song. What are the progressions to this song? So now I got to rise up and be a musician,
That's good.
Or she'll be listening to a song and be like, that's the one. That's the four, ain't it? And I'm like, yeah, you learned it. So now we're having common interests.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so we had to figure out, how can we make this thing really work? My wife is very analytical and she's very literal. So if you say the sky is orange, her literal mind is going to be like, when did it turn orange? And she's going to have to check. I've found ways to find interest in that. So now I start asking her questions that allow her literal mind to work.
They could click.
Yeah. So now she thinks, oh, he's interested in what I got going on. And now I'm thinking, oh, snap, she's interested in what I got going on.
That's key.
And before we know it, we've had unspoken communication all day.
Yeah. That creates connection.
It does. And so now she's not resenting me for who I am, and I'm not resenting her for who she is.
Yeah.
Because we've had to actually sit down and have conversations about what makes me click.
Yeah. I was gonna say that too, because every situation is not like ours.
Yeah.
Like my wife, she's naturally a singer. She don't sing now.
Right.
But she's a musician. Your wife's a musician. She sings.
That's dope.
You know what I mean? Your wife. But that's not everybody's situation.
Yeah.
So, maybe we can speak to those guys. Speaking to those guys who don't have a wife that's not a musician.
Yeah, definitely.
Like my wife, she's not active. So I can kind of speak a little bit to that. She understands music. So when she hears what I'm doing, You know,
Yeah.
she may be bopping. You know, from
Yeah.
what I was working on the album. She's over there. You know, and she's
Uh-huh.
whatever, and she'll be like, "Oh, what was that?" You know what I mean. So I'll get some of that. You know, but for the ones that have wives that aren't musicians, you know, I think what would help them is what you were saying too. Like
Yeah.
that same thing helps. Where it's like find what they're interested in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Find out what they're interested in and get interested in that.
Yeah.
Even if you're not fully interested.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then have that conversation with them about them being interested in what you have going
Yeah.
on. Because what tends to happen is you'll find that you'll start to thread a little bit without even
Uh-huh.
realizing, like you were saying, it's
Yeah.
like before you know it, y'all are having a conversation about an interest that either one of you
Yeah.
have, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And then you kind of find a middle ground in that. So really finding out what it is that she likes
Yeah.
and then get interested in that.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like for men, I know for us, it's like the hard thing for us to do, well, for me for sure,
Mhm.
it's like one, we have to always listen to what they're saying. You know what I'm saying?
First, you got to be interested. to
First,
listen.
you
Yeah.
gotta be interested to listen.
Yeah.
But listen, because there's something in there, especially when you have, because here's my thing. I have a wife that's it's hard to find out. Well, at one point, it was really hard to find out what it is that interests her.
Yeah.
So you have some females who are just like, they just,
Yeah.
it's whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're bubbling, but they're bubbling in the inside. Like, you know,
Just
one
not paying
time somebody gave us a car. Somebody gave us a BMW. You know what I mean? Now, backstory: my wife is the youngest out of 9
Okay.
from a bishop. Her dad was the bishop.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So our backgrounds are different.
Uh-huh.
She grew up privileged,
Yeah. Entitled.
private school,
Yeah.
from
I-
birth to high school.
Got it. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so things, I mean, her dad had Cadillacs all in the garage. Like that's all they drove. That's all they drove.
Wow.
Cadillacs. Okay.
Oh.
He was like the
He
bishop.
was-
You know, bishop back in the day,
yeah.
they got Cadillacs.
Yeah.
Okay?
Bishop Greenleaf.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, like Bishop Greenleaf for sure. So her background is different. And so she had things growing up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like her life growing up was school, church, shopping with her mom, back home, church, school, shopping. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that was her life. For me, it was different. I grew up
Yeah.
in the streets of Boston.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah,
I mean? And
definitely.
so somebody decided to give us a BMW, a car for our family.
Mhm.
No strings attached, no car note. Nice.
Hmm.
Okay. I'm excited. I was like, yeah. You know what I mean? This is great. You know what I mean?
Oh my God.
And the pastor was like, so it was a pastor.
Uh-huh.
So he said to me, your wife? Is your wife? She not happy?
She not happy.
And I said, oh man, she's bubbling in the inside. You just don't see it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because she's the type, man. It's like, well, okay, that's nice. Even though it's things that she like,
Mhm.
it's hard to tell what she really like.
Yeah.
It used to be hard to tell. Now I can tell now because she on Amazon, she on here. So I can just, if I want to know, I just go to Amazon, look in the cart,
Just-
see
yeah,
what's in there
yeah.
that she got for save for later,
Yeah.
and I just purchase it.
Yeah.
And it gets delivered to the house. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But a lot of times it's hard. It was hard to
It's
figure out what it is.
interesting.
Yeah, it's hard to figure out, okay, what is it they like? Because it's for men, I don't know. I mean, I guess there's some females. I can speak for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? For what I have and how I am. I show what I like. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to know what it is that I like. Like, there's a few things that I like. I'm going to say it. You're going to see it.
Yeah.
And
Definitely.
it's easy. So if you want to get me something, that. You know what I mean? But if you got a female that's hard to tell what it is that she likes, it's really hard to find those things. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But have those conversations is key.
Yeah.
So one of the conversations we had years ago was, okay, making life easier for her would because she works 9 to 5 now.
Okay.
I don't.
Yeah.
So, you know, the conversation was, you know, maybe you can help with cooking. So
Okay.
when she gets home,
Yeah.
she don't
yeah.
really have to cook.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay. Now I love to cook, so you know, ask me for anything hard.
Yeah.
I'm a chef.
Yeah.
You know what I
There
mean?
you go.
But Then it's like, okay, well, you can wash some clothes. I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's different from me.
Yeah.
We have to call Brian over
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
We have to
Yeah.
get Brian over. Brian
So-
can wash clothes.
Brian.
I don't know
Yeah.
about laundry. I don't
Yeah.
do laundry. Now my mother had all boys,
Yeah.
so she taught us how to do laundry,
Yeah.
and I can do laundry.
We wash all our own clothes in my house.
Yeah,
Oh.
everybody do their own.
But listen, I ain't wearing your drawers. You
There
is.
you go.
Yeah, you know what I
There you
mean.
go.
And so-
Wash your drawers.
but
There you
I
go.
mean, and I think that's what's beautiful about being different.
I wash
Because
and
everybody
fold.
get.
I wash.
Now,
and
when
fold.
I do wash, which is probably every 6 months, I fold.
So the backstory behind that.
Mhm.
So I'm very meticulous. Funny part about it
Uh-huh.
is I didn't really learn how to wash clothes until I was 20 years old.
Oh wow.
So my first year in college,
You
I
had
went
on
to
pink shirts, huh?
Pink what?
Yeah, so I was very spoiled. I'm the youngest of 3 boys. I'm the youngest grandchild on my mom's side, and I'm the second youngest grandchild on my father's side.
Nice.
I'm the youngest everywhere, right?
Mhm.
So I mean, I get what I want. My freshman year of college, I did not pay for laundry because my dad would get off work and come by and pick up my laundry and take them home and wash them. I lived where I lived from where I went to school was 35 minutes. So my dad would pick up my clothes from my dorm room, take them home, wash them for me over the weekend,
Mhm.
and bring them back to me Monday morning. So I didn't have to wash my own
Oof,
clothes
jeez.
until I moved into my own apartment. And I'm like,
Mhm.
Your dad.
It's supposed to happen with these joints.
yeah.
You were lucky, brother.
Right.
My
So
papa ain't
I
do
got
that.
really meticulous about washing clothes. Me and my wife got together. She didn't wash clothes.
Mm.
She could wash clothes,
Yeah.
but she didn't.
Mhm.
I went out of town. I left her to wash my clothes. And she messed them up.
Fuck all your shirts.
Oh my
Came
God.
back with baby Gap shirts.
When I tell you, I was like, oh, thank you. But you ain't got to do this no more. To the point, there's a video circulating because I put it on Facebook.
What?
I left to go out of town and I labeled how to wash my clothes and put them in the separate hampers so she wouldn't mess them up. But that's how I started washing clothes because I was like, I'm just not going to let you mess them up no more.
Mhm.
So
No,
ever
we
since
can't have
then,
that.
I literally wash everybody's clothes in the house.
See, my wife do the washing, but I do the ironing.
See, there you go.
You do the ironing.
Yeah, you got
Whose clothes you iron?
anybody who need it. You know the
Mm.
button-up shirts.
Yeah.
You know, they used to, I mean, I don't know if we iron clothes.
I put my stuff in the dryer.
Yeah,
I get lazy.
I don't iron clothes anymore. Well, I probably like maybe for Sunday.
The
if I
button-up
pull it-
shirts.
If,
Oh, that
oh
goes
yeah,
to the
okay, yeah, the
cleaners.
button-up shirts maybe, yeah. But if they're already hung up, I don't necessarily have to iron it. But I don't wear too many button-up shirts either.
So it's a funny story, right? When my wife was dating,
Yeah.
and I was in the shower, and she was like, "What can I do?" I said, "Well, just I'm gonna wear that, iron that." So,
Mm.
She burned it.
no, she ain't burned it. I got out the shower, I dried, and I got dressed. My mom came. I said, "You gonna iron your clothes?"
It was supposed to be ironed.
She did.
She did iron it, but it
Yeah.
still didn't look like it was
Oh,
ironed.
yeah, I said, was the iron on?
She just plugged it in and was like, she pressed it, but she didn't iron it.
No steam, no nothing.
Right,
nothing.
but
She
ran
just
o-
ran over
She
it.
just ran over that joint.
She
Just
just-
bump this real quick.
Yeah.
Bump it real
You know, I'm
quick.
trying to tell you. Yeah, man, I don't iron clothes either, man. Like,
Mm.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't iron clothes anymore.
I do all the ironing.
What stopped me from ironing? Because I used to iron my clothes. I used to have the crease
The
down the middle of my
creases in
pants.
the pants.
Okay, right down here. Everything.
Yes,
Man, that's
sir.
me. You know what I'm saying? Like right here, I'm born in '73, so you know I had the.
Oh yeah.
The new editions.
So then one day I go to church. We're inside the pastor's lounge, and this young cat come to me. He was like, he looked at me. He saw my crease in my pants. He said, "Oh, that's
Old
that
school.
40 plus
Is
right
that
there."
old school?
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No
Never
more,
again. Never again.
No more iron. Nope. He called me up. He said, "Oh, that's that 40 plus right there." Got the. I was like, got the
Oh,
crease in the
no.
pants. I was like, that's it.
Nope. Never again.
Just the
Nope.
slacks.
Yep.
Just the slacks.
No, I ain't no more. But I will if something's wrinkled, then I'll get it out real quick to do a little something. But it's interesting, man, how different homes are.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
different. It's interesting to see that. But the key is really about teamwork. And really
Yep.
people
That's exactly
understanding
right.
that this is a team.
Yeah.
And if we realize it and both agree that this is a team, um, easier would be no problem.
Yeah.
I don't think easy would be a problem.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Easy would
Yep.
be it wouldn't be an issue.
We win as a team.
Yeah,
That's it.
absolutely.
We play as a team. We win as a team. You know what I'm
Indeed.
saying? Hello, family. I want to take a quick coffee break just to say thank you. Thank you for stopping through and checking us out. It means a lot to me. Now, it's my hope that you are enjoying the show thus far. So please, if there's a topic that you would love for us to cover, let us know. We'll look at it, we'll review it, and if it's cool, we'll cover it. Also, please make sure you like, share, and subscribe so that we can continue to bring you great shows like this one. Okay? Well, that's enough of me talking right now. Let's get back to the show. Peace. Love you.
Indeed.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. But you know, a lot of relationships don't have those conversations
Mm-hmm.
because they're full of two people who are not emotionally aware.
Yeah, that's
Like,
true. That's good.
I thought for the longest time that my wife could read my mind.
Right.
Like, if I'm not talking, you gotta know that I'm mad.
Mm-hmm.
And you're supposed to act accordingly. You know what I'm saying? Instead of me opening up saying, today's just not a good day.
Yeah.
Or she would think the same thing. Well, why didn't you, respond when I acted like this? How was I supposed to know? You
Yeah.
know? And I will tell anybody, therapy is the way to go.
Yes, sir.
On a regular basis.
Therapy.
Every other week.
Bro, therapy is it.
Dog, we do couples therapy every other week, and I do personal therapy every other week.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, I need to get to
Man.
personal therapy. Yeah, we've been to couples therapy, and
Dog.
it has helped. You know, now I would say this: don't go to therapy at the church.
Mm-mm.
Go
Don't
somewhere they
do
don't know
therapy
you.
with your pastor.
Mm-mm.
And I'm sorry, pastors, because I'm a pastor too.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a
Yeah.
preacher too. We all preaching.
Yeah,
But I'm just sorry.
mm-mm.
I feel like if your marriage is going to survive,
Yeah.
and you need couples therapy, hear me. Please don't go to the pastor
Mm-mm.
for couples therapy. Don't do it. Now, there are some churches, Grant, there are churches now that provide
Yes.
therapy service with professionals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay?
Absolutely.
And I'm not saying pastors aren't professional, but I think the challenge with that sometimes is that
They know you.
they know you, there's some bias and unbiased, and
Mhm.
then some pastors just can't handle the information.
Yeah.
And it may be just because they got so much going on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because sometimes pastors share some information with the wives, and then the wife wasn't in that session, and
Yeah.
the wife is not bound by that information. So then the wife may
Yeah,
take
yup.
it somewhere else, and it
Yup.
don't need to go.
Yeah.
The next thing you know, your business is out in the street.
And I'll take it a step further. They may be able to hold the level of confidentiality, but their approach to it by scripture is all biblical.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that the Bible can't be the substratum of
fix.
your marriage.
Yeah.
However, if you're all biblical and no practicality, that marriage is gonna fail anyway.
Yeah. I mean,
Because
the
now
Bible
you're
says it.
expecting me to be Jesus, and I'm not dating Mary. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. We
like,
can't be so spiritually good that we're no earthly.
yeah,
good, so
absolutely.
spiritually minded that we're no earthly good. It's true.
Absolutely. And so a lot of pastors, while they may be capable of doing it, I don't think they have enough practical, presentation to help a marriage be whole. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna say this, and this is no shade or no diss to any pastor, but most times when pastors counsel, there's an underlying drawing not to God but to them.
Mm.
Oh, you mean underlying drawing?
Yes,
So they
of the
pulling
marriage,
Yeah,
not to
yeah.
God,
But
but
to
to
them.
the church.
Ooh.
I didn't want to go there
That
because
is, that is touchy.
yeah,
That is touchy.
you know,
That's very touchy.
because now it's I want you to mirror what me and my wife do.
And that don't even go there.
And honestly, sometimes everything that glitter ain't gold.
Oh,
Yeah.
sometimes salt is sugar.
Or
vice versa. Yeah.
So I think we need to be very careful when we are trying to have spiritual marital counseling, because you want to make sure that they're drawing you or leading you to the cross and not the church.
God, dog it, boy.
Come
That
on,
thing
sir.
reached people in the back.
Woo!
They back here running up
That,
now.
that
Listen,
deserves an
we can start
offering.
right there. If y'all want to cash app right now,
That deserves
it's
an
the Brian
offering.
Crenshaw bass player / preacher $. Okay.
In no particular order.
In no particular order, whichever one I want to be that day.
Yeah.
No, but
Jeez.
that's a real thing though, man.
Yeah.
I'm a real big advocate for therapy though. Like,
Yeah.
because honestly, personal therapy was what got me to doing marital counseling,
Mm.
because I went into personal therapy trying to figure out who I was.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And I went in trying to discover who I was, but I moreover discovered who I wasn't.
That's good too.
I discovered more of who I wasn't,
Yeah.
which made me realize, oh dog, if you don't get some help, you're gonna ruin this marriage thing.
Mm. So therapy pretty much breaks down your ego.
Oh my God, yes.
It just tears you apart and helps bring you back together.
Oh, I absolutely. It is the best and worst day of the week for me. I hate going into therapy because I know it's going to turn a mirror on something that I wanted to hide.
That's
I
good.
wrote the book Managing a Damaged Destiny after coming out of therapy.
Wow. Managing
A Damaged Destiny.
damaged destiny. Wow.
And it came from the story of Mephibosheth. Mephibosheth was in line to be king.
King, yes. Yes.
By birthright, he was in line to be king. Nobody told him he couldn't be king but himself, because he didn't fit the mold of a king because he was injured.
He was crippled.
Jeez.
So he said, I can't be respected as a king, so my destiny is now damaged by my injuries. What have we disqualified ourselves from because of what we've gone through? I went and I sat in therapy, and she says, why can't you be successful? Who told you you can't be successful?
Right.
And I promise you, she tells me this. She said, you do not have to come from a successful family for a successful family to come from you.
That's good.
That's good.
Say that one more time, brother.
You do not have to come from a successful family for a successful family to come from you. So that's how I wrote the book, Managing a Damaged Destiny, because I realized in that 50 minutes that I have in that session, how damaged I was. What I played over, what I prayed over, what I preached over, what I laughed over, all of these things that I was to other people, going home broken. That's why I'm an advocate for therapy.
Damaged destiny.
And here's the crazy thing. There's not one day that she says, now you got it.
That's good.
There's not been one day, and I've been in therapy now. We've been married 9 years. I want to say 6 years now. 5 or 6 years. There's not been one day where she says, now you got it. Every day, it's like, all right, let's move on to the next thing. But what about this?
What about
that? What about this? What about that? And now I realize, and now we're going off on a tangent, but I realize I'm raising a daughter. My daughter is 18 years old. She'll be 18 on Sunday. And now I have conversations with her. And now I can tell her from a 35-year-old perspective, oh, I know where you got that from. You're a people pleaser because so am I. You see what I'm saying? Because now I'm emotionally aware enough to say that without feeling like I'm being demasculated. So now my daughter is not going to wait for a man to define her because her father has already given her definition.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes, sir.
That's
dope. All from therapy. All from therapy, man.
Therapy's great, man. I got to get there for the personal therapy. We've gone for couples.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I want to get there for personal therapy.
Yeah. And that's why I started the man cave.
Me too.
That's why I started the man cave, because we'll talk to men. We'll talk to each other.
Oh, yeah, all day.
But we won't sit on a couch. And don't let your therapist be a woman. Dog, do not. For the first 10 sessions, I was stone cold. I wouldn't tell her nothing. Because I said, you're going to judge me like my mama did. You're going to judge me like my wife. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I wouldn't tell her nothing. And she, I mean, every session, I could feel her breaking stuff in me. And I'm like, nope, nope,
Ain't coming.
nope.
Mm-hmm.
And the crazy thing is, like, we do virtual sessions now. I would be holding back tears. Holding back tears. I would wait until we got off and I would just let it go.
Jeez.
Wow.
Because I wouldn't cry in front of her.
So she's still a female.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Oh, I wouldn't change. I'll be in her therapy session until I die.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
Yeah.
But that's great, man. I think it's great, especially for couples when we're talking about doing, therapy, getting a professional to handle the challenges and issues of your marriage.
Yeah. Oh.
You know what I mean? Because I believe pastors and church is great for your spiritual aspect, your spiritual life, your spiritual growth.
Yeah.
I believe, you got to be equally yoked when it comes to that. Your pastor saying this as spiritual advice. You get your, Sunday, your Wednesday, your Bible study, you get all of that. But when it comes to your natural issues that y'all have as a couple, it has to be a professional.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they're going to come from professional principles that you need to put in place.
Yeah.
That's not necessarily just a spiritual thing. Now, there's spiritual ties and there's a spiritual force against a marriage.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
Yeah.
But as long as y'all on the same page spiritually, when it comes to the church y'all are at, then y'all will be able to couple that in to the professional advice that you get from the counseling. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But to rely totally on the church to be your counseling, personally, I think that's a mistake because you're going to find so many issues come within that. You know what I mean? Like you said, one, the drawing to the church. Then the two, there's your business being in the church.
Yeah.
And then three, just people looking at you differently now because of the therapy. The pastor may even look at you differently.
Yeah,
you may bring your wife in and be like, Pastor, my wife's for free.
Yeah, right.
And I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Pastor's like,
I do.
Let's see how
I do.
Let's see how this is gonna go. Right.
So what are you doing, son? With your So
What does she like?
What does she like?
Yeah.
Well, let me have a personal one-on-one session with her.
Absolutely.
We can get that out. You know what I mean? It's like it's just you open the door for so many scenarios and situations that can come or challenges.
We still recording this?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. I had an incident.
Uh-huh.
I had an incident, and I'm not gonna say no names, but the pastor was really close with the both of us. And for me, I'm a church kid, so everything had to lead back to the church. Man, had a conversation with the pastor, thinking that it was a mutual understanding. Now the pastor looking at me funny, the pastor's wife looking at my wife funny, and we sitting in here, we still giving to this ministry, we still sowing in this ministry, and the whole time we realize that we're the product of bedside conversation.
God dog it.
Lord have mercy. It happens though.
And I'm like, oh.
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Oh, shit's Nike.
And after that, I was like, never again.
Right.
And even you got to think about it. Okay, I was an assistant pastor. Who do I feel comfortable enough with to be able to put my pastoralship on the shelf and be a man?
To the pastor above you.
Now, can I really do that?
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Because my therapist knows I'm a pastor. But there's some days that I sit on that couch or I sit on that Zoom and I'm like, bleep, 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 bleep. Life is bleep, 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 bleep.
Yes, sir. Yes,
and,
sir. Yes, sir.
And she's gonna be like, all right, okay. Let's dig. And then after she'll be like, have a good service on Sunday. You see what I'm saying? Like there's no judgment there.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like you said, I don't know if they can handle the weight of humanity.
No.
When
a lot of times, and then sometimes they feel like maybe that's what God brought to them as a sermon. So now they go home and rap. Now you sitting in church and the message is like, hey,
that sounds awfully familiar.
That sounds awfully familiar. Talking about it. You know what I mean? It was like, bro, that wasn't meant for you to make a sermon out of. You know what I'm saying? Like I've seen that, bro.
Yes.
You know what I mean? With a pastor, somebody went to the pastor about something. Next thing you know, the pastor preaching about it. You're like, come on, bro. Like, come on, we can't do this. So anyway, you know that.
Oh my God. I forgot we was recording because I was
You listen. We can't do that.
Yeah.
We can't do that.
Yeah.
So life being easier is contingent upon each other.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line.
Yeah, definitely.
There's no such thing of an easy life.
Well, easier. Not
Yeah.
easy life.
Easier.
You know what I mean? There's no such thing as an easy life. Absolutely. But, really helping each other lighten the load. That's what it's all about. That's
Yeah.
the key. The key is really to help each other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you're in a relationship, it can't be about just one person.
Yeah.
Sure.
No more happy wife, happy life.
Yeah.
We got to kill that. We got to dead that. It's
Yeah.
happy spouse,
Happy house.
happy house.
Yeah.
Because if both of y'all are happy, then the house is happy. The kids, because here's the thing. That's what I mean. It's like if the wife ain't happy, your life ain't. It's like, no, it can't be that way. The kids feel that type of stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And then you put up you put those spirits in your house, man, and you can feel it. I've gone in couples' houses, and you can feel the tension.
Oh yeah.
In the house.
Yeah.
And my wife and I leave and be like, man, you feel that, man?
That's the conversation on the way home.
Well, we been, man, do you feel that, man? Like, hey, man, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you can feel that. You can feel like something was up.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so for me, it's about really you all working together and really having those conversations, like you said.
Yeah.
Really having those conversations and really talking about those things that we feel like would help us. And as long as we both agree to be on that same path, then, we're heading in the right direction. You know what I mean? It's nothing worse than try to build with somebody who's sitting down while you're building.
Yeah.
Ooh wee.
Ooh wee.
It ain't gonna work.
Yeah.
It ain't gonna work.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We both need hammers. We both need hammers in our hands.
Yeah.
If we're gonna build this joint.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So.
And even if you're not gonna have a hammer, at least have some water for me when I get tired.
Have some water. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You know what I mean? Bring me a nail or something.
Yeah. Bring me something. Yeah.
Bring me something.
Not just that. You got, there's got to be a common interest.
Gotta be.
You know what I mean?
Gotta be.
I think if you are in a relationship, my mom said one time that as long as you got something to work with, you know what I mean, that they are bringing their half, and you can, then you can figure things out.
Definitely.
And one of the things I heard you say that I think that is something that all couples can do is reinventing the relationship. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Finding new ways to pursue each other.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we're constantly evolving. We're constantly changing.
Yeah.
We're constantly responding to deeper truths.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so as we are responding, and we're growing.
Yeah.
So it's as long as we are always reinventing and finding things to chase within the relationship. I think
you said it before, DP, in our other session. You talked about always checking in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean,
evaluating,
checking in daily. I think that's so powerful in itself. Just checking in.
Yep.
Because we started off with the goalpost being moved.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We started our conversation off with that.
Yep.
So I think it's key. And this is always going to be the key. Communication is always going to be the key.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's always going to be the key. Communication is always going to be at the top of the list. So let's talk about what that is. Let's talk about what's changed. Let's talk about what you feel like is hard. You know what I'm saying? And we might have said this one time too, like what was hard yesterday might not be hard today.
Yep.
And so, going back to what we said originally, it's like we felt like, maybe you communicated that coming home and having to wash the dishes and cook was a thing that you saw as hard. Where now I start doing that and it becomes routine, but I'm still getting resistance from you, and it's kind of like, what's going on? You're like, well, I just kind of feel like, you're not making life easy. And it's like, well, I thought we talked about that. It was, I've been consistently cooking. I've been consistently cleaning before you got home. Well, that's not it anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So let's talk about it. You know what I mean? We got to talk about those things. And I feel like checking in consistently is going to help in a relationship so that you know what those things are.
Yeah.
Because it's very hard to meet unspoken expectations in a
Absolutely.
relationship.
Yes.
It's very hard.
Yep.
It's like what you say. You walk around. Your wife's supposed to read your mind.
Yeah.
That's the first of all. Let's hope that is never a capability of a female.
No.
Oh,
Come on, wife.
We done. We done for. We cook.
First of all, let's hope that that's never something
No.
they can do. But those unspoken expectations are also marriage breakers, man. Those joints have tore homes.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
They have tore down relationships, all because we didn't really speak what the expectations were.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I think those things are key.
Yep.
As we're trying to move forward and building relationships and really trying to do our best in helping each other out as we're moving towards our destinies, whether it's damaged or not.
Yeah, absolutely. There you
know
go.
what I'm saying?
There you go.
So,
and I think another thing would be just not being afraid to get it wrong.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ooh, that's
absolutely.
important.
Yeah, like don't be afraid to get it wrong. Keep trying.
That's it.
Keep swinging. And I used to tell my wife, we always use the boxing analogy, like just get in the ring. You know what I mean? Get in the ring. That's all I need you to do. You know what I'm saying? As long as you keep showing up, we gonna, you
got something to work with.
Yep.
That's
you
it.
keep
man.
swinging. You keep swinging. One day you gonna connect.
Yeah.
And I just think we get in our minds about failing. We get in our minds about disappointment. We get in our minds about getting it wrong, and then we'll say, well, I don't want to get it wrong, so I'm not gonna try it out.
You failed right there.
Yeah, you failed.
You're afraid of failing. But you failed. But you failed by not trying.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. You failed at 100% of the shots you don't take.
They tell you in college it's better to get a 0 than, because that's still a point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Than to get
than to not do nothing.
That's crazy.
Well, they should have told me that. I got a 12 on the test one time in college.
A 12.
Man, you get points on the SAT for just putting your name on the paper.
You do.
God.
I didn't know nothing on that test.
But you got a 12 on that bad boy.
But it's better than a 0.
You're right.
0. It's a 12.
Yeah.
It's points.
That's when I knew me and college won't go mix.
Yes, sir.
Let me find a base somewhere.
Yes, sir. You ain't college,
getting a 12.
Friends. We're not friends.
Yeah.
But you showed up.
I did.
You tried.
Showed up.
I did.
It's different than the student that shows up and tries will not get flunked. I don't care.
Yeah.
You won't get a C, but you won't flunk.
Yeah.
Because you tried. You put forth
I learned
effort.
something.
Yeah.
And you got to be like
you
that.
put forth an effort.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's a relationship.
Even on teams.
Yeah.
If you don't give the coach something to work with, you ain't on the team.
Yep.
It's crazy how many, life principles, man, pertain to marriages. Because we talked about this too. It's like there's no school for marriage. There's no course. There's no this. You know what I mean? Like, because Jesus wasn't even married. Did I say that too one time? Jesus wasn't even married.
Nope.
Now I got some thoughts about that, but that's for another show. You know what I mean? Like Jesus not married, but.
Oh my God!
Don't get in no trouble, right?
Hey, I'm with that conversation.
Yeah, me too. We're just not recording it.
Let's have that conversation.
Don't get in no trouble, right?
Hey, before we go, just for a funny joke, like I was watching the cat. There's a cat now on Facebook. Yeah, but the Reverend is talking about how polygamy is not a sin. It was biblical.
What?
Oh yeah.
A lot of people, the Bible doesn't speak about a man and a woman and a man, or man and man, or woman and woman. It does speak clearly that Abraham, the father of the faith, he had wives and concubines. Jacob had 4 wives, out of which come the 12 tribes of Israel. Moses, the custodian of the law, had 3 wives. David, the king of Israel, had 18 between wives and concubines. Of course, we all know about Solomon. But it actually has laws written in the Torah, written in the law of Yah, that actually regulates and sanctions a man having more than 1 wife if he chooses.
Yes, sir.
He don't read his Bible.
He's talking about how the men in the Bible had concubines and wives and 4
But
wives and all
then
that
they
stuff.
was right.
He don't read his Bible.
Yeah, that's a whole nother story.
He don't
But
read.
anyway, man, we're gonna get out, man. I know we've been here, we've been spitballing for a little while. This has been great,
I
man.
love it, man.
Yeah.
I love it, man.
Yeah.
Welcome. Appreciate you, B.
Man, I
Crenshaw,
appreciate
man,
the
for
call,
coming
man. This
through,
is
man.
definitely
The bishop
this-
was dropping nuggets.
Oh my God, man! I
Oh,
love
yeah.
it, man.
We got to get your book. So talk
Yeah.
about the 2 books. You got 2 of them now.
2 of them, yes. The first one is Planet and Purpose,
Planning and purpose.
and it kind of tells you about the phases of life. A lot of times, men particularly think they should be a certain place at a certain time.
Mhm.
Well, I'm 35. I should be this, or I should be that, or I should have gone there, or I should have accomplished this. Why am I not, quote unquote, where I need to be? And it's a self-help book because I found myself in that stuck place. And I was outside cutting grass one day, and God was like, "You're not stuck, you're planted." And every seed has a purpose.
Mhm.
But in order for the purpose to flourish, it has to be planted first.
And be planted.
You know, and so that's Planet and Purpose. Just kind of helping you navigate through phases of life as it pertains to your path of purpose. And then, like I said, managing a damaged destiny, just how to navigate through those nuances of life. Of, you know, sometimes we disqualify ourselves based on what we've gone through, based on who did us wrong. My mom told me something a few years ago. She said, "It may not be your fault, but it is your fight." And like a lot of what we've gone through may not be our fault, but it's something that we have to navigate through.
Sure.
And destiny don't stop. There's a people out there for you. You just got to learn how to manage how to get there. So that's what managing the damaged destiny is about. I don't know if this is a plug or not, but you can purchase them on my website,
Yes, sir.
www.briandcrenshaw.com. I also have launched what I call the You Matter movement.
Okay.
It's for people who feel overlooked. It's for people who feel left out. It's for people who feel like they don't fit the mold.
It's a lot of people.
You may want to do something, but you feel you're not good enough. It's an encouragement to let you know that you matter. It's both reflective and deflective. Like when I put this on, I'm telling myself that I matter. When you're reading this, you're listening to me tell you that you matter.
That's good.
So I want this to be encouraging to everybody, no matter where you go, no matter what you feel, no matter what you've experienced. Your story is your story. You still matter. So I got a lot of irons in the fire, man.
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
good stuff.
That's gonna keep the fire burning too.
Yeah,
It is, man.
definitely.
So youmatter.com?
So You Matter is also on my website. All the merch, hats, hoodies, t-shirts.
And the website again?
www.briandcrenshaw.com. BRIAN Crenshaw. CRENSHAW.
Yo, go up there, run it up. Tell y'all you won't be disappointed. The books are amazing. I read the Planet and Purpose. The joint's crazy. We read it as a church.
Yeah.
And he did like a whole Bible study
Yeah.
the time. So the joint is life-changing. It's a game changer. Check it out. Make sure you get it. Support, man. We're black, man. We're black brothers, man.
Yeah.
We're trying to change the world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So help us do that. One book at a time.
And there you go.
All right. We appreciate y'all. And we thank y'all again for joining us on the Mentor Perspective, where we got real men talking real talk about real life issues from a man's perspective. Appreciate y'all. We out.